Hello, hello, everyone. It is Amanda Testa here with Find Your Feminine Fire, and I am so looking forward to today's interview. Today, I have Tia LaVoie with us, and Tia is a very special guest today because we are here on the Spring Equinox, which is a very powerful day, and she is going to kind of share with us some messages on how we can best move forward with this new energies that are happening. And she has been doing this work for over 17 years, and she's very wise in the ways of the world. And she's done a lot of study, tutelage under Patrick Collard, and traveled extensively throughout the world to gain many elders' wisdom in the jungles to highland. She works through ritual, initiation, and self-inquiry, and really shares this with the world through her group teaching. She has an amazing Thursday evening call, which we will share how you can get in on that later, and just really helping people to really witness their own ability to create the miraculous by connecting to their own divinity within and listening to their hearts and taking action from that knowing. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you.
So yeah, it's the
so happy Equinox.
Yes, happy Equinox to you. And hello for everyone that's tuning in. So yes, I'd love to kind of just dive right in because I know this is such a powerful day, and I would love for you to share a little bit more about why this is for those who may not be familiar with what the Spring Equinox is all about.
So Equinox is about the equal balance of the light and the dark. We have been, since September of last year, we have been in a cycle called catabasis. And catabasis is basically just our underworld. We create it, we perpetuate it, but every year in September at the Autumn Equinox, what happens is we go into our cave, we go into our dark spaces, and we go not because we're being punished, but because it gives us time to sit with ourselves. And as we sit with ourselves, we get to look at ourselves. When we are courageous enough and powerful enough to look at ourselves, what happens is we get to grow. Self-inquiry leads to self-mastery. So the equinox, what this is about is everything that's been frozen, everything that's been iced over. What's going on is it's starting to melt. And in that melting, we have a lot of creative energy that kickstarts and turns on, and it gets ready to get everything revved up and everything going for this growing season of spring and summer. And so there's a lot of energy happening. There's a lot of transition going on. This is the time of year that people really take into account their relationships, their jobs, what they're doing with their lives. Are they living their dreams, or are they just, surviving for a paycheck? And so this is the time of year that if you've got a dream, like, kickstart it, get it going, start planning these things so that they can grow up through the ground. Relationships, people start relationships, they end relationships. All of that is a perpetuation of just a reflection of ourselves. When we're relating to other people, we're just seeing aspects of us, whether it's the light or the shadow in the mirror. So at this time, we've got a lot of growth energy. There's a lot of creative energy. And what happens with people, I've noticed, is that in this time, a lot of anxiety stuff shows up right now because everything is starting to melt. And as the things are starting to melt, you start looking around and, what's this right here? And what's that right there? And who have I been with? And who have I shared my light with? And who have I been, living my life with? And so people just start to move. It's the time to be courageous. That's what this time is about. Courageous and the push through, motivations, feeling your power, getting strong, making yourself stronger than that. It's good. It's a good time. We all woke up today. It's a good day.
Yes. I can totally relate to the anxiety you mentioned because I've had many people come to me in the past few days talking about that. And one of my friends was telling me she had this, panic attack this weekend that she hadn't in years, and just feeling this maybe collective anxiousness going on.
Well, the collective anxiousness, for sure. But the other thing to understand about that anxiousness, that anxiety, is that is your creative power. When people show up and, we're doing sessions or they're in groups or gatherings, what happens is they start to bounce off of the other energies around them. Now, what happens if they're alone? Well, a lot of people who experience anxiety, there's a fear of being alone. Alone just happens so that we can get strong within ourselves, so that we can remember who we are, and we can remember what we're here to do, and we can remember our purpose, and we can get, the big word is catalyzed. We can catalyze everything that's going on, everything that's happening to us right now. It's a catalyzation. Everything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're afraid of. It doesn't matter the story of your worry. You are being catalyzed. So be courageous and grow. Do it. It's a big one.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to kind of dive in a little bit more to, I know that if you could touch on this too, because this has been a crazy month too. And I know that there's like 2 full moons in this month. I know you're really, a master of the zodiac and the stars. And I would love.
Business always goes up when there's a blue moon month, seriously. And I'm grateful for it, but always, it is crazy how much we are affected by the moon. But we're also 75, 85% water. And so if the moon's affecting the waves and the ocean and the currents, it's going to affect us as well. Yeah.
I know I've definitely felt that this month too. And feeling like the spring is emerging finally. I think I was mentioning this to you earlier. Like I am definitely noticing, like I can wake up and have that more energetic, like excitement for the day that it's been absent for a bit. I was definitely inward. So it feels like such a welcome change.
Well, and also all of that, we were talking about anxiety and the waking up and feeling more active. Those things, that's just your creative energy. That's all that anxiety is. But what's happening is you're in your ego about it. And so you're reacting to it instead of responding with it. Instead of letting that anxiety, that creative energy get channeled through your heart, what happens is we start telling ourselves a story. And we're all extremely powerful storytellers. And so when we tell ourselves a story, we don't just say it one time. We're repetitive. And so every time that we tell that story of, oh, I have anxiety, or, oh, I've got this issue coming on, or I have this problem, or I have this deal happening, what happens is that just keeps embedding and empowering that neuroassociation that this is something big and scary. You have anxiety, you've got an issue, this is a problem. Really, it's your creative power. And that's not to devalue anybody's experience of anxiety or even depression, because winter months, depression goes up with people. The spring and summer, anxiety, because winter, it's very passive, it's feminine. The spring and summer, this is very active, it's a masculine kind of energy. And so what happens with this is we get bogged down with our stories. If you are writing yourself a story, just make sure that it's a story that feels good in your heart. If you're writing yourself a story that doesn't feel good in your heart, then you really deserve to rewrite it, because the word author, the word authorize, the word authority, they all come from the same root word. And it's really important to remember, I'm creating this. I'm making this happen with my thoughts, where I put my focus, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
Good times, just go with it. Like, I notice with people want that quick fix. They want that, give me the pill, or give me the sacred plant to eat or smoke or ingest or drink or whatever. And it's not a quick fix. But when you stop worrying about how long this is taking, or, well, I'm not as advanced as that other person, what you're doing is you're giving yourself one more story. Don't compare to other people. Your journey is yours, and it's beautiful, and it's a unique experience just for you. So you can choose how you want to see it, and you can choose what you do with it. It's entirely up to you. That's your free agency. It's just a matter of choice. Fear or love. What do you want to do with this?
I love that. So let me ask you this. If you are one of the ones that may be feeling the anxiety, that is your creative energy, how can you go about transmuting that?
Train. Get training. Watch your videos. Read your books. Go hear your people speak. Work with somebody like Amanda or myself. Like, get your training in with people who are already trained up. People who know this realm. If you were going to go into the desert, you would probably want a map if you were going to a destination, because I've been in the desert, and 360-degree view, you can't see a thing. But if you have a map, there are certain things that you can do. It's the same thing. Map out your progress, map out what you're doing, map out the process itself. It's really important in that space, because this is the time for it. This is the time to be active in your training. This is the time to start applying everything that you've learned up until that point. It's important. Like, each one of our steps, this is another thing, one of those stories people tell is, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. I'm not worthy. Oh, we're all worth it. We're all worthy. We all have love, permeating from us, we're transmitting from us. We're all made of love. Love is light. And thank you, quantum physics right now, because quantum physics is the evidence for what the men have been saying for thousands of years. Like, you're making this. This is all a reflection. You're creating this with your thoughts and your words and your actions. So what are you choosing to do? The things that you can do besides your training is getting good disciplines, teaching yourself to be present. Set an alarm on your phone at various times to go off at various times during your day to remind you, and just put, present question mark. Just by asking the question, it will bring you to presence. A lot of people, they get caught up in the breathing techniques and yoga and this discipline and that discipline, but start with, am I present here? If I'm not present here, then asking myself that question will bring me to a point of presence. And I can choose to remain in that state, or I can choose to go back to telling myself these stories of how big and scary everything is. When it's really, it's just you. The monsters in our closet, that's just you. The big scary monster in your dreams under your bed, that's just you too. And so now it's all, coming to the surface. Now it's all coming to light. I notice also with people, they say, I thought I'd been through this before. I thought I was finished with this. If it's shown back up, then there is more opportunity in that situation to start choosing love. And love starts with loving yourself. So just remember that as well. Got a lot of things to remember. Remember that everything starts with you. And so that change that you want to see, that's you. These things that you want to happen, that's you. That big and scary something over there, that's you too. And when you accept it, and when you start to allow yourself to see, I have all these stories about this stuff, but they're really just my catalyzations, then you get to grow in that understanding and in your wisdom. It's beautiful, really.
So true and beautiful. It is, like, everything does start with you. And sometimes it's the hardest part.
It is, especially with the people who are so identified with, well, I'm a giver. I just give. I just give it. Well, if you're just giving, what's going on over here, right? So the flow is equal reception and the active giving. So just make sure today on this equinox, because this is the power day, this is the day that things start to shoot through the soil. Make sure that you are in a equal flow, a harmonic flow of both reception and also the active giving. Being grateful, there's another one. How to get yourself right and aligned with your heart and this creative power, rather than just react off of your anxiety. Same thing. Be grateful. When you wake up in the morning, what are 3 things that you're grateful for in this life? And what is one thing that you appreciate about yourself? Start doing that exercise and watch how things start to change in your world, because all you're doing is changing the cycle, the mindset that you've been in, and you're rewriting that story. Bless all of us as storytellers. We're good at it.
Yes, I love that. One of my teachers mentions once that I think this is so funny. Your brain is just this thought-producing organ, and we're just so fascinated by everything.
Yes.
Versus like really just accepting it for this thought-producing organ.
Thanks, brain. It helps me do a lot of things in a day, and I'm grateful for that. Here's another thing. You know where your brain is, but where is your mind? Where's your mind? Because your mind is the creative faculty. The brain is just the reflection of the mind and what it is. I don't know if we're all just, I don't know what we are exactly beyond this veil, but there's some very interesting things happening with people, their realizations right now, the steps that they're starting to take. Every day, somebody pushes further and further beyond that edge. Somebody goes a little further from that fringe. And we need to be those people. We need to be those fringers, because we're the ones that are open enough to allowing ourselves to expand so that we can realize more and more things about ourselves. We don't grow in our power. Our power is always there. Our power is our infinite self. It's the realization of that power. That's the big one for people.
Yeah, so I think that's one for me that has been the most, I think, deep, just realizing that I always had this within me. Like I didn't need someone else to give it to me. I didn't need to do anything magical. Like just the magical thing was like tuning into my own self and it's me. You already have it. Our society like just puts all this stuff on us to make us think that we aren't worthy and that we don't deserve things, that we're not enough as we are.
For sure. Absolutely. And also, I think that even that, for me, all antagonisms are complementary. It doesn't matter if it's that person, it doesn't matter if it's that situation, that point from my history, like it's all helping me become a better person. And so if we look at our situations like that, if we look at, being called into the office by the boss and being reprimanded or getting in trouble or whatever it is, or going through this relationship and going through this, all it's doing is it's just refining us in our own creative power and how we want to wield and affect things with that power. You're a powerful person. Look what you're doing. Like you, Amanda, look what you're doing. You're moving things. You're making things happen. And in that space, that's going to ripple out, and that affects your tribe, your family, your circles. And so it's just really beautiful how this ripple effect happens for everybody. Now, what happens sometimes is people make a resolution, or they say, I want to do this, or they make this declaration. And when they make this declaration, they start to be very proactive about it. Well, as they work on themselves, what happens is that starts to ripple out. Mm-hmm. And in that rippling, that affects other people close around them. Well, sometimes people close around them don't realize what that ripple is. And so in their egos and in their own fear stories, they start to say, who do you think you are? You're not what you think you are. You're not hot stuff. You're not this. And they try and tell you. When people do that in their projection, all they're doing is showing you, hey, I'm scared. I see you growing, and I don't know what to do because this stuff is coming up for me. And so now I'm very afraid, and I'm going to react off of my stories. Hold people in compassion with that. Don't get upset when people don't want to get on your bus. Just understand that you're going to new places, and those people have the opportunity to do it or not. And if they don't, that's okay. Bless them. It doesn't mean you have to stop being friends. It doesn't mean you have to stop doing anything. It just means focus on you. Just keep focusing on you. And as you focus on you, you grow. And then those ripples expand even further. And all this stuff starts to change. It's all reflection. This whole world, your life, my life, it's just a reflection of where we've been holding ourselves and how we hold our self-worth and our value about things. Mm-hmm. I said it.
So I know you shared some really beautiful ways to really kind of cultivate that relationship with yourself. But is there anything else that you maybe could add that you felt for maybe you has been really powerful in that? I know many things, but that's a big question.
Yes, it's a good one. So shamanic experience, entheogenic experience. Entheogenic, it's the being at one with God. And shamanic experiences, we live in Colorado. Every time you spark a joint, it could be a shamanic experience. Every time that you sit mindful and breathe, it could be a shamanic experience. Ayahuasca journeys and rituals, those are shamanic experiences. I have a lot of fire in my chart. And so for me, I like that action. I like, don't tell me about the world. Just show me the doorway so I can walk through it and see what's happening. When we first started offering shamanic experiences as a service, I had a lot of doubts. I had a lot of judgments about it because it was, the integrity of the medicine and not just, giving it to anybody who shows up with $1. And so I really had to sit with myself in that. But then I started to notice there are a lot of people offering shamanic experiences. And I figured, actually, my grandmother and I had a conversation, and my grandmother's my best friend. And so the conversation was, well, if everybody is looking for this thing, would you want to give them, you know, your aspect, your translation of this thing? Would you want to offer it from you? Or would you want them to go to somebody else and it not be, you know, an unfolding experience? The person might not be, they might not have their credentials, so to speak. And so that's a big one. That's a big turning point because it's a ritual. And in ritual, that's where we make our big changes. That's why we have cord cutting ceremonies, and that's why we have sweat lodges. We're looking, as human beings, we need that something different to come into our world to give us that jolt. And then we see things with a clearer eye or more clarity in our visions about things. So for me, I went to Peru 14 years ago, and I drank what they call the huachuma, which is the San Pedro cactus. And visions started, but they never stopped. And I got really depressed with that because all I saw was everybody's sad story. I never knew how rampant sexual abuse was until I started to see these visions, and I could see it on the people. And it's all over the place. And bless us all for having to go through things like that. But it's also a huge catalyzation. And so when we partake in a shamanic experience, what happens is, you know, it's not somebody else teaching you. It's that medicine that you've taken that's teaching you. And it's just reminding you of the power that you are. It's bringing up the things that you haven't looked at, the things you haven't wanted to see. And it's just reminding you, hey, you're ready for this. You're ready for this refinement in this aspect of your world. That's a big one. Shamanic journeys, shamanic experience. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can definitely have the beautiful guide for you here if that's something that you're interested in finding more about. I'll share more and a bit of how you could get in touch with her for that. But I think that is so powerful. And two, cutting off that cortical control so you can actually go there. So many of us like that doesn't want to release, and it needs assistance.
That storyteller. Mm-hmm. That little ego that sits in there and says, hey, be afraid of this and worry about this and have doubt over this and believe in this illusion right here. That all shuts down. A few years ago, we were in Peru, and I took a group. We take a group every year. And we took this group, and we all sat in and drank the yage, the ayahuasca. And one of the people in the group, she had concerns about it. And, you know, it's always optional. You know, nobody has to drink whatever it is they're offered. But she sat in, and I said, you know, you're more than welcome and invited in this, because you just being in this room with us, it's going to change things for you. And so she decided, yes, I will sit. And eventually she did actually take a few sips. So, you know, she can say that she's done it. And it was a really beautiful experience for everybody. When you say shamanic experience, some people think, you know, dropping LSD at an old Dead concert or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But even that is a shamanic experience. It's how to go with that journey. It's how deep that we want to explore ourselves and see ourselves. And when we can do that, there's your catalyst right there. Like, it changes things. It changes your world. It changes your steps because it's changed your mindset about things. Changing the mindset is the biggest one. And you change your mindset by realizing that you're worth it to change your mindset. That's the big one. Self-worth, self-value. That's a big, it's a big catalyzation for everyone I have ever met, is to realize that you're worth it. So then you can take that step, and then you can go on that journey, whether it is a thing you ingest or a thing that you breathe, or, you know, your showing us that. And the quicker that we choose to allow, oh, that's just me. Oh, this situation, that's me too. Oh, this situation, that's me too. We're made of stars. Like, we're made of the universal elements. Like, we are walking embodiments of the universe. And that's such a beautiful thing to realize. And when you can walk out in your life and you can hold that thought, that's your perception that I'm all of this, then no matter what's happening, it's you and your love. And so when you know that you're love, that's where the magic's at. Like, that's where the miracles come from. And I love when people realize it. I love when people stop getting caught up in their stories and they start to realize their truth. I'm love. Only love can come from this. If I realize this, then everything that I make, everything that I see, everything I hear, touch, taste, feel, intuit, that's me. And when I realize that that's love and that's love and that's love, then love is going to be my reflection in this life. And ta-da, peace, wisdom, you got it. It's yours.
Right? I think it's the most powerful healer that there is. It's
powerful, if not the only. What else heals but love? And then even beyond the healing, what perceives? When somebody says, I had this thing happen and I need to heal from it, what is that healing exactly? What's really going on here? What are you seeing that has not been perfect? And getting yourself into that mindset of, you know, everything that's ever happened to me, everything I've ever done, everything that's ever been done to me, that's all brought me to this point. And this point, this is perfection here. And it's important. That's how we find peace. People go to, you know, therapists for years, decades, lifetimes, and they keep repeating and keep repeating. Well, the first thing you have to understand, are you worth it to outgrow this? Healing is like an outgrowth for me. It's outgrowing a perception I held where I saw imperfection in a thing. And so now I can witness that things are imperfection. And so in that space, that thing that needed healing, that clears up because there's no more perspective of imperfection. When people show up and they have cancer, or they show up and they're dealing with this debilitating disease or this sickness or this illness, the first thing I ask them, do you want to live? And they say, nobody's asked me that. And I say, okay, well, here we are. And so then we start to work from there. Without knowing that you're worthy, without knowing that you want to do this thing, without speaking it and declaring it, you're just sitting back and taking on knowledge, and maybe some of it you'll remember and some of it you won't. You have to remember that you're worth it. You have to remember that, you know, you're deserving of this power that you wield, and you've been wielding it. It's not like you just come into it. You've been working with it. That's why you've been in whatever situations you've been in. It's why you've created whatever realities you've created for yourself, where you've been believing, what you've been putting your faith into. And so you just start remembering, okay, I'm all of this, and all of this can only be love. And so in that space, ta-da, here comes my healing from this trauma. Here comes my healing from this perspective and situation. And so now I don't have anything I need to forgive. And so now healing has commenced, and I'm walking in my peace now. I'm walking powerfully. It's a powerful process in that space. And good on you, Amanda, for starting your group, because what you're doing is you're helping women connect with that interior creative space within themselves. And as you do that, and as you guys really start to celebrate, I know you do a lot of jade egg work, and that's really beautiful, because what you're honoring, what you're cultivating is that creative energy and being able to focus it into really beautiful endeavors and reflections. It's a mouthful.
Thank you. I know I do. It's one of my, so inspired by that. So thank you for mentioning it. But I do think, because just the world that we live in does not support us a lot of times in honoring ourselves and taking space for ourselves, and like just taking time to be without distraction or ding, 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 or, you know, it's
finding our
yes.
Yes. And also, Amanda, like how I took the teachings of my teacher, Patrick, is everything out here is a reflection. And so if this world is unsupportive of us, it's just reflecting how we have been culturally, in societies, in civilization, how we haven't been supporting ourselves. And so now I'm noticing, since about 2012, there has been a huge push, a huge force of like people reclaiming their power, people remembering, realizing, okay, if I thought about this and it's just shown up on the TV or in a newspaper, or I thought about this person and they just showed up, that's a reflection for me. And that's showing how quick my turnaround time is to manifest that reflection. How quickly am I willing to look at myself in this reflection that's shown up? It's a big one. And we're doing it.
Yes. So I want to give, if anyone has any questions that you would like to ask for Tia, please do post those in the comments, and we can try to get to those if we can, but I just want to point that out. And yeah, so back to just the magic kind of this time. And, you know,
magic fire. Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if there's any last words that you would like to share, like just in general around this time.
Well, so think about this. When we plant a seed, that seed it knows that when it splits open from both ends, a taproot will emerge and a stem will emerge. The taproot knows to grow away from the heat, and the stem knows to grow towards the heat. That's how we have seeds flower. That's how seeds push up through the soil. That's how it breaks the frozen on top. So what's happening is pay attention to your feelings. Pay attention to, if I'm taking a step here, does this feel good in my body? Does my body feel aligned in this? If your body says no, then don't go any further. Stand still. Remember what you're worth. Remember that you're loved. And then start looking around in the directions for the one that feels good when you're looking at it. When you're looking in that direction and it feels right, your heart gets all hot and you can feel the light coming out. That's the direction that you want to go in. It's the same with your dreams. It's the same with your hopes and visions. It's the same with your relationship, same with your job, same with all of it. Listen to what feels good. Pay attention to when your body, because your body will tell you, hey, this feels good or this doesn't feel good. It'll tell you when you leave somebody's space, hey, they feel good or they don't feel good. A situation that feels good or doesn't feel good. Just pay attention to that for sure. What a beautiful time we've all chosen to be here. What a beautiful time we've all chosen to wake up on the green side of the grass. You're doing it. We're all doing it. You're watching this video right now, like you're doing it. You're taking steps somewhere because like attracts like. We didn't cross paths for random. Like everything happens for a reason, all of it. And it's really beautiful, the steps that we're all taking. So make sure that you give yourself credit for that. Make sure you give yourself credit for your journey so far and also where you're heading. It's important. It's important to honor yourself. It's important to hold ritual. It's important to remember your power and your presence and all that beautifulness that you have going on in your world. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I do remember you saying that to me one time, and it was really a great thing to reflect upon, because I know for myself, I can in these phases where I'm just trying to get somewhere and do and do and do. And you're like, how about, when you're hiking up the mountain and you take a break and you look how far you've come? Like, do you do that?
Please.
I was like, thank you.
Mm-hmm. This is the time for growth. Like it's fire right now. And so let it happen. That we were talking earlier in this video about the experience of anxiety. That anxiety is just your creative power. Whatever it is that you're feeling, those feelings of overwhelm, we get in that space, that's your creative power. And so why you're having that reaction in your body is just simply your body is letting you know, hey, here's your creative power. Let's take a deep breath and let's start focusing in on things that feel good. Let's start putting it in this direction, because you're going to grow it. Wherever you shine that light, that heart fire, you're going to grow it. It's going to happen. And so allowing that to be, rather than just keep reacting off of this kind of feeling. Hey, deep breaths. Deep breaths, everybody. It's very important. There's a reason why on the airplane flight, they have to tell you, in case the pressure drops in the cabin and the mask comes out of the ceiling, please put your mask on first before helping anybody else. There's a reason why we have to be reminded of that. And so just remember, am I putting my mask on first? Am I holding this for me so that I can be helpful to everybody around me on this flight? It's important. Just grow. Just keep growing, because it's happening. And you can't stop the momentum. There's too many of us in the collective that are choosing to go forward. Like the energy, the springtime energy, it's about growth. So whatever you've been planting for the last 6 months, expect it to start to fruit. Expect it to start to shoot up through the soil right now. So just make sure that when you're planting seeds, you like the seeds that you're planting. You will eat this thing that you're putting into the ground. If you're not going to eat it or smell it and enjoy it, don't plant it. Pull it out. Get rid of it. You don't need it. It's not worthy of the love that you are. And that's powerful.
I love that.
I have a Leo moon, Amanda.
Yes, only plant what you want.
Yes.
That's easy to forget sometimes. So yes.
And the growth is abundant. It's going to be abundant regardless of what you're growing. If you're shining light on it, it's going to grow. Shine your light on your worries, more worries will grow. Shine your light on your blessings, your abundance, your fruitions. that's what's going to grow. We're all successful farmers here, regardless of what our jobs are. We all are successful farmers. Plant, we will grow it. And so just make sure that you're very aware of the things that you're growing. It's important.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. It's always fun. I love a good podcast.
I know. Yay. And so too, for the
amazing goddess background you've got going on there. Mm-hmm. Work it, girl.
So too, for those of you who are interested in finding out more about how you can benefit from Tia's wisdom, she has a Thursday evening call that is open, and I will actually make sure to post all the links for how to connect with her. And you can also find her on her website at Be Love, See Love, and I will type that up here so that you can find her there too. And thank you guys all so much for being here today, because like Tia mentioned, it's just so powerful to even be showing up for yourself and taking this time to grow and connect to something positive and something that's gonna help you. So thank you for being here. Yeah. And if you have any questions, feel free to post those in the comments and we'll get back to those. And thank you so much again for being here, Tia. And thank you everyone for tuning in. And just before we leave, I just is there anything that you wished I had asked or anything else that you would like to say before we wrap up? Good.
Okay. So just keep going. Keep the fires lit. Keep the fires burning. Keep doing the beautiful works that you're doing and believe in your stuff. Don't allow other people's projections of fear to be your reality. You're growing this. You're creating this. The sun shines on everything. The sun lets everything grow. So just keep growing. It's good. Y'all take care. Thank you, Amanda.
Yes, thank you. And
happy
everyone,
Equinox.
Yes, happy Equinox. Everyone have an amazing day.